Oh, hi. Lao Shi Lawrence McElroy here for Water Tiger School of Taijiquan. Another in these pre-recorded videos. We're doing because, you know, the current abnormal still is relatively abnormal. So we continue to hope to do these on a periodic basis, hopefully a little bit more often than has been the pattern this spring. So we apologize for that. We've been away for longer than we intended. We've been busy. I know it's not an excuse, but we've been busy. So not going to talk that long. We're going to get right into it. Some things just to mention. You know, we're in the state of New York. Water Tiger School is. So New York State is moving forward. There have been some changes in the studio, but most of the pandemic protocols remain in place as they do at most locations around the state and on Long Island. So there's that. And aside from that, today's focus, we're going to start with a relatively vigorous, intense physical warm-up. So, you know, preview it first. Figure out if it's within your range of motion, and if it is, and you're sure you won't cause more issues than resolve them. In other words, injure yourself. Do something else. You know, just skip through that part. Hold me for a while. Do your warm-up, and then join us for 2 days walking exercise. This is, let me tell you, it still has its new walking exercise smell. It's brand new, probably at this point maybe a month old, month and a half. So bear with me, it might be kind of sloppy. If you want to get a preview to what we're talking about when we say apparent opening sequence, there are a couple of videos, the links are listed below, from our Water Tiger for Sachem new playlist. One is from January 25th of this year, 2021, and it was titled Diversity in Tai Chi, High Pat on Horse, because our apparent opening sequence is in the 24 posture form where most people place high pat on horse. And then the other video is another walking exercise, but it's a combined posture walk that combines single whip with the apparent opening sequence. And that one is on the playlist for February 1st on the same playlist. So anyway, again, those links should be below if we're on our game. And without further ado, by the way, once again, I did not lock out the girls. So we might have a wandering fuzzy join us. I know they're popular when they do, so I sort of hate to mention that they're a possibility, because now you have that expectation. I'm going to finish my mint here. We're going to start with a little aerobic warm-up, relatively light. You know, remember, you can do low impact versions of this. I'm going to march a couple of different ways. I'm going to do some jacks, half jacks, and probably skip rope. Not a real rope. I'm not going to make you do that. But remember, you know, half jacks are this. But if you feel like that's too much impact, you can do little step jacks, and that's fine. For the jump rope version, this is the version I'm going to do. But you can just bounce from leg to leg, but get the arms involved, because we want the arms involved. And then I'll address the two main parts of the warm-up as we get to them. Well, no, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to call an audible. So that's going to lead us to the warm-up. And the warm-up involves a squat, a prayer squat, or a frog squat. So the position in which we're going to get, the toes are going to be out, knees out. If your toes are forward for this, it doesn't work. So if you don't have the ability to get the knees open like this, and height is everything. You know, you just find the height that works for you. If you're up here, then hands on the knees. If you're down here, you can put the elbows inside of the knees. And this is sort of a prayer squat or a frog squat. We're going to shift back and forth. And then when we come back up out of it, we're going to do a hip circle and go down. And then do a hip circle and go down. And we're only going to do that maybe 5 squats total. We'll see when we get to it. And the other thing we're going to do for the upper body is arm circles. I know in some of these videos we've done the Egoscue series, maybe even some other arm circles, but this is a very specific, and you have to have a good range of motion in your shoulder. I'm going to back up a bit because I think my hand's going to go off camera regardless of what I do. But I want to be straight up and down here, like I'm doing this right next to a wall. I'm going to be turning the pinky out and turning the pinky out as I do that, palm forward across the bottom. So that's a pretty big range of motion. This particular stretch doesn't really work if you're going out there. So again, pretty intense. Usually steer clear of these kind of warm-ups, but I'm doing my best to keep the variety as we choose stuff for these videos. I thought we might as well give it a shot. So be careful. Warning, 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 Will Robinson. Honor your range of motion. Do not injure yourself. Hit pause, skip forward, hit pause, wait for us to catch up with whatever your warm-up is that you're doing, and then rejoin us for the walking exercise. It's the best I can do, folks. So, going to start running. I'm not going to use the timer. I'm just going to count down from 10. And we're not going to run, sorry, we're going to march. So, anytime with the march, remember height is where you can place your hands and bring either your thighs or your knees to your hands. And we'll get going. And you can join me in the count if you want. So after 3, 2, 1, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And widen if you can, otherwise just keep them up front. And again, when you go wide, you may have to lower your hands. You can also do open palms. 3, 2, 1, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And half jacks. Again, you can do the non-contact and the non-jumping version. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And jump rope and get going. And again, non-impact kind, just shifting back and bouncing on the balls of the feet, that's fine. 3, 2, 1, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, hands in prayer, right? Down, a couple of shifts back and forth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come up, hip circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come up, hip circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come up, hip circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come up, hip circle. Last time in prayer squat. And this time at 6, reach up. Prayer hands. Couldn't see them, I know. I was off camera with my hands. And here. And while here, just for giggles, we've done this before. Keep the palms together. Oops, let me get the camera angle right. And pull back the fingers and the thumb, just for a little added stretch. And shake that out. So there, we got the lower body going a little bit. I'm going to remove a layer. Once again, if you're following the sequence, it wasn't listed in the Water Tiger School record that I've done Billy and the Boingers before. So there's Billy and the Boingers. Google it if you don't know who Billy and the Boingers are. Great band. kind of, they run amok, if you will. So, upper body. Feet probably about shoulder wide. We're going to do a swimmer version, just one direction here. Again, this is going to take a big range of motion. So I'm going to go to the right first. Pinky back across the top. Palm forward. Pinky back, there's the left. Palm forward. Pinky back, pinky back, pinky back, pinky back, pinky back, and now continuous. 3, 2, 1, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And huggers just for the heck of it. So there you go. There's our warm-up. I'm feeling pretty warmed up. I mean, there's always more stretches we could do. I mean, if this was a physical training video, we'd be at this for about 5 minutes, depending upon if it was an upper body or lower body workout. And this is just a little tai chi. So, again, our apparent opening sequence falls in the 24, where most people do high pat. So it's after the single whip, cloud hands, single whip sequence, and sort of the most people's approach to the 24. So within the context of the form itself, we're not doing single whip today. From single whip, there's a little turnout in the left foot. You're crossing your arms as you move into the left, chamber in the right leg for a moment, dropping down into the right, turning toward the weighted leg, and here's apparent opening. Here's the preparation. Right palm down on top of left palm on the thigh, wherever the thigh is, whatever height it is at which it is. This is our approach to high pat on horse. And then we add snake spits poison. Oops, and hopefully don't fall over. Let me do that again. Boom. A little bit to the left, over to the right. These little twists are important. Center, left, high pat on horse, all the way over to the right, snake spits poison. So that is our apparent opening sequence for water tiger school in our lineage. So apparent opening sequence walk, of course, takes out the single whip and makes the transition from one side to the other, shall we say, interesting. It's one of the reasons that we like walking exercises, because it gives us that opportunity to really explore our movement, that it's connected, that it's through the body, yet doing movements in ways that we don't normally in sort of our standard form play. So, again, that sequence, as you're moving, from the left foot into the right, this is apparent opening. This is sort of our Danielson moment in apparent opening. Turning toward that weighted leg. Turning toward the center, you have the preparation for high pat on horse. And then you have snake spits poison. And then, of course, we have to take a step and remember that that leg to which we're stepping, two things. It needs to be at the 45. And as I turn into it, there's the apparent opening. There's the preparation for high pat. I'm facing front. Turning toward the empty leg, to the right this time, for high pat on horse. I'm aiming for a point that is even with my own throat. It's like a knife edge strike to a throat. And then for snake spits poison, turning all the way from one side, the right, over to the left, chambering the leg, and again, attacking the throat, only this time with a spearhead. So I'm coming down and crossing as I'm sort of still focusing on keeping my emphasis toward my left for that cross, and then opening up, right foot's at the 45, apparent opening. Preparation. High pat on horse. Twisting to the left. Coming all the way over to the right. Keeping the emphasis into the right, which you get a little bit more movement once you start to take weight. Once you open up the quad and take weight off of that foot, so you turn toward the right, toward the back foot for the cross. And then as I move the weight into the left foot, there's the opening of the wings. Crane technique. If done right, no can defend. Preparation. High pat on horse. Snake spits poison. That was the two sides. I'm about to lose my head. So I'll do a little casual closing. And boom. So, that in a nutshell is the apparent opening sequence, walking exercise. It's really, if you go back to the other videos, we talk about how it's really based more within a Japanese karate kata than it is, or kata, I can never remember the pronunciation, than it is real tai chi. But again, our high pat on horse does look like other people's high pat on horses. Or high pats, there we go, high pats on horse. Get the plural in the right spot. Sort of like attorneys general. So remember that aspect, that cross is happening into the leg that's actually going to be empty. So I'm turning as I'm going to move into my right foot to start. I always like starting walking exercises in a Tai Chi-like fashion. So many people, if they do a walking exercise, just go, okay, the right foot's supposed to be at the 45. I need to fill that right foot, and now I do this. Right? And it's all very static, but by doing that cross, moving the weight into the right, and then starting to, or into the left, sorry, and then coming into the right, then the whole body moves. Part of me moves, all of me moves. Part of me is still, all of me is still. That's also the way in which we do a casual closing. We call it a casual closing because that doesn't have the formal pattern, if you will, that a closing has is at the end of a form. But you know, whatever you're doing there, we were in Snake Spits Poison, right? No, we were in Snake Spits Poison on this side. And what I did was step down. Let me just make sure I'm in the right spot. Boom, boom, boom. I'll do it to this side. Right, so I'm here. I'm stepping into that foot. And I can step it right straight down. I don't have to step forward. But the hands release from what they're doing. They flow up, out, away from the body. The back foot comes in this instance. They go down. And now notice, I have a choice. I'm a little bit low. I can press the heel down by lengthening my body. And then settle the weight back down. A little bounce pulls the hands into the dantian. I can also be at that same point and settle the heel down by shortening, by growing shorter, and then raise up out of it to pull the hands in. Regardless, it's not, I'm here, and different parts of the body are moving at different times. So it's all connected. I know we've talked about that before, that was a little redundant. I know we've talked about it before, that was a little redundant. I know I've talked about it before, that was a little redundant. See what I did there? So bouncing the weight into the left, there's the cross. I went this right foot at the 45 for apparent opening. We really focus on the Chan Si here, the silk reeling, that twisting spiral energy in the body. So a lot of people will do a sequence like this, as I was just talking about, and here's their apparent opening, here's their high pat on horse, there's their high pat on horse. That was the preparation for high pat on horse. There's their Snake Spits Poison. And there's no life in the torso. We want to twist into that weighted leg. I'm externalizing quite a bit, so it can be more subtle than what I'm doing, but my orientation and my torso has a twist, putting English on the ball, if you will, to the right. That unfolds into front, then goes to the left. then comes all the way over to the right. Opens up a little bit more to the right for the cross, getting the left foot to the 45. The arms, the wings have crossed. Filling that left foot, turning into the left leg, creates the beginning, the apparent opening portion of the apparent opening sequence. Turning forward, left hand palm down on top of right palm up on the thigh, wherever whatever height you're chambering that leg. Ball of the foot can be down for that matter. But if it's in the air, that's where that hand is. Into that right leg for high pat on horse. So twisting to the right, coming all the way through center, all the way over to the left. Snake spits poison. A little bit more into the left. As the quad opens and the right foot goes to the 45, the arms cross. Coming into, see the balloon? Beginning to expand. Apparent opening. Center, preparation. Left, high pat on horse. Right, snake spits poison. A little bit more into the right, careful of that right knee. Knee and toes need to stay pointed the same direction. But then opening up, turning into the left, apparent opening, forward, preparation, right, high pat on horse, all the way through center, to the left, snake spits poison, a little bit more into the left, there's the cross, coming into the right. Hopefully you recognize center, left, that little record skip thing that I do is a teaching technique. Snake spits poison, into the left, opening, and not the way the movement should be. It's one thing following another, stepping forward in casual close, because I want to balance the sides. And there you go. If you just happen to be doing, if your approach to the 24 only includes a high pat on horse or a cross arms or something, at that point in your form, you can probably use this as maybe a little bit of a guide, a little bit of a map to come up with your own walking exercise. That's how this walking exercise came to be. It's not something Laoshi Lawrence McElroy originally planned on doing. One of my students took it upon themselves to sort of create a rough outline. I gave it some little changes, some little adjustments, and Water Tiger School, thanks to a student's initiative, has a brand new combined posture or combined movement sequence that we didn't have before. As you know, again, if you've been following this series, we've been doing that a lot over the last year. One of the things that was our focus while we were in home isolation was coming up with combined posture walks. And if you go through the different playlists that we have from when we were live on Facebook and YouTube to when we moved into this Water Tiger for Sachem new sequence, and now this post No More Sachem environment, we've continued with that. And anyway, so there you go. Hopefully we will be back sooner next time. Probably won't be next week, but maybe another as June unfolds. We'll have something, either a little bit of Qigong, because we still have some animal frolics, many animal frolics. And we still have a lot in the queue for the Tai Chi, but just a reminder, we started this on a regular basis because of the pandemic, because of home isolation. And we're starting to, the sun is so bright, enter out into the world now. As that becomes more prevalent, what we post will change. Let me just put it that way. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time and attention. Again, the links to the earlier videos that I mentioned, the diversity in Tai Chi that approaches 3 different ways folks do that part of the 24, more or less about high pat on horse, is there in January. Don't remember the date because I have the post-it note underneath the camera over there, my little cue card. And the same February 1st, that date I remember, for the single whip apparent opening sequence walk that we created just a few months ago. So again, thank you very much. As always, this only posts as a video now on YouTube. We don't do a corresponding video post to Facebook, but we will post the link on Facebook. So of course, under the link on Facebook, the comments are wide open. But here on YouTube, we do preview each of them, not to weed out the negative comments unless they're, swearing at us or something, but basically because the YouTube algorithms don't stop, things like how to get a date online. And I still haven't figured out a great euphemism for what I'm talking about, but you probably understand. So thank you again. Not sure when we'll be back, but there you go. It'll be Tai Chi. It'll be Qigong. I also, there's some physical training stuff that we haven't done yet, some stretches. When we did neuro-integrated stretching earlier in the spring, we left out some lower body stuff, so we might actually bump that up so there's not quite so much time between when we did it last and when we completed the sequence. So anywho, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to go. Stay safe when it's appropriate. Keep masking up. Keep your physical distance. When, things are actually safe, when you're in a safe environment, say there's an evening in the studio or a class in the studio where everybody in the class is verified, is fully vaccinated, then, masks come off. We actually, in our festival of push hands at the end of the last month, we touched each other for the first time in over a year, and did some symbiotic, some contact push hands. We've been doing push staff since we reopened to in-person classes in September because we had to keep physical distance, and we had to stay 6 feet apart. So the long staffs allowed us to experience and explore push hands principles without actually being within 6 feet of one another. All right, I've said I was going to shut up for about 3 or 4 times now. This time I mean it. Take care. Be well. Thank you.